Welcome back to Community Roundtable. Our studio guest today, again, is the Director of the SBA Los Angeles office, Mr. Alberto Alvarado. In the last segment, we were talking about the functions of SBA. And you explained to her there are three primary programs, and I thought they were all very interesting. In this segment of the show, I'd like to delve into that. Okay. The first program you have mentioned is financing. I think that's something that most people are aware of. Yes. Can you share with us what role does SBA play? I mean, I know people, I used to work in a bank, people come up to me, okay, where do I go to SBA and apply for the loan? I go, no, SBA don't lend you money directly. You have to work with the bank. Mm-hmm. So can you share with us how the role of SBA in terms of financing?
Absolutely. Well, let me say, first of all, Henry, again, how happy I am to be here and to provide this information. I know we're going to give some contact points at the end of the show, people to call our office, for people to reach us online. Very important that they do that, whether now or in the future. The lending program is probably, as you suggest, the program that the SBA is most well known for. And a statistic, let me just say this and I know you have many people that are not Asian American who listen and watch your show, but in our office, I'd say over the last 10 years, I've been director about 14, so over the last 10 years, we financed over 11,000 Asian American owned businesses for over $3 billion, and that's a remarkable record. Obviously, we lead the country in doing that, and one of the ways we do that is with our bank partners. So in the example that you cited, if somebody was listening and said, oh, I really like what's being said, I want to apply for an SBA, let me call the SBA. They can do that, and we would give them a better orientation. But ultimately, they would go to a bank to do their application. And what we would counsel them, we would invite them to call us. We would sit down. We see, first of all, are they ready to access capital? Most people think they are. Mm-hmm. We kind of work through that process. Do they have a business plan? What's their presentation? Those kinds of things. And then ultimately, we identify a business for them. A bank for them. Mm-hmm. I mentioned that we have about 100 banks, give or take, that participate in the program in the Los Angeles area, and chances are that the bank of account of the businessman or woman is a business that participates in our program. So we say, well, Henry, who do you bank with? I bank with so-and-so, so-and-so, well, they're in our program. Here is the contact, and ultimately we often make an appointment for the person to go see the banker. These are people that we know, from the bank presidents to the loan officers. We've worked with them. So we help arrange contact with the bank, or we give them a list of the banks that participate in our program. Ultimately, the bank will review the loan and submit it to us for final review. Right. And it used to be historically, and just like so many government procedures, that would take a long time, and people would complain, and there were stacks and stacks of paper. And it really is no longer that way. If a businessman or woman has their financial documentation in order, it would not be unusual to get a loan approval within a couple of weeks, because the banks that participate are very sophisticated in their review. They have the forms, but it's all in assessing, are you ready to go visit the bank? Do you have your documentation? Obviously, if you don't have the documentation, then it's going to take a longer while. And I mean financial documentation. I don't mean the application forms, because those, the bank will help you. We work with a lot of different organizations, nonprofits, chambers of commerce, Asian business groups. There's so many groups now. This is a wonderful time. Our country, frankly, the world is in tough times, but at the same time, it's a wonderful opportunity to get help for your business. And people who are struggling, whether financially or with anything else, they ought to come to us. We can point them in the direction of resources.
Right. So a business is looking for financing. Instead of go to their bank, they can do is use your resource.
Yes.
Call you up and say, Mr. Alvarado, listen, I have my business for 5 years. I'm not getting the capital I need. Can you help me? That's something you can help them do in terms of financing.
Yes.
And the banks you chose, the question would be, which is the bank that you give them is your preferential bank, or is there different in terms of pricing and stuff?
The pricing is something that they would ultimately negotiate. We would give them really our list of all the participants, and we'd say, you want a big bank, you want a small bank, is there a bank around the corner, what about your bank of account? But like I mentioned, it's very likely that the businessman, businesswoman's bank participates in the SBA program. They're just not talking to the SBA department. So ultimately that choice is really left. We would not, what we might say is, look, here are banks, let's say you have a restaurant. These are banks that don't do restaurants. They're just banks. I mean, you know from your background, certain banks like certain kinds of businesses. Right. They don't like others. They like real estate. They make small loans. They make big loans. They have their preferences. And since we know them, we know what their preference in lending is.
I see. So SBA would still be a preferential place for you to go about your first step.
Absolutely.
And continue financing or getting more capital. How about, a lot of people lost their jobs with this economy right now. And I'm saying, why don't, instead of finding a new job, I said, hey, I'm good at what I did, my former employment. I'd like to start my own business.
Absolutely.
But I don't have any business credit. I never